Look at your hand. The color you see isn't random. It isn't even really about race. It's the result of millions of years of human evolution, and one of the greatest survival stories ever written by nature. By the end of this video, you'll never look at human skin the same way again, because human skin color is one of evolution's greatest mysteries. So, why do humans have different skin colors? The answer has nothing to do with what we were taught. It has everything to do with survival. And to understand it, you have to forget almost everything you think you know. Start with something strange. Humans are one of the very few mammals whose skin color changed dramatically across the planet. Wolves in Alaska and wolves in Arabia look almost identical. Lions, tigers, chimpanzees, mostly the same wherever you find them. But us? One species, every shade imaginable. Why? The answer begins with something we lost. Thousands of generations ago, one of your ancestors stood beneath a different sky, barefoot, sweating, almost hairless, because somewhere along the line, our ancestors stripped away their fur. They traded insulation for evaporation. They became the sweating ape. It was a brilliant trick. Sweat let us chase animals for hours in heat that would kill a lion. But it came at a cost. Naked skin under a tropical sun is a body under siege. And this is where the story turns strange. Your skin is not a wrapper. It's survival equipment, reading light, absorbing radiation, deciding molecule by molecule how much of the sky is allowed inside your body. The tool it uses is called melanin. And melanin is not paint, it's armor. Picture something invisible. Ultraviolet radiation, silent, painless. But down inside your cells, it's snapping strands of DNA like dry twigs. It's tearing apart folate, a molecule your body needs to build babies, to grow embryos, to make new life at all. In a world without hospitals, without medicine, without a single second chance, that quiet damage was catastrophic. So evolution answered, not with a plan, just with the slow arithmetic of who survived and who didn't. Generation after generation, in the high sun cradle of Africa, the humans whose skin let in less ultraviolet had healthier pregnancies, stronger children, better odds. And across an unimaginable span of time, dark, protective, melanin-rich skin became the birthright of our species. But here's the mystery. If dark skin was so perfect, why did lighter skin evolve at all? Then some of us walked north. We picture this as an expedition, a brave march into Europe, over ice, over mountains. It was nothing like that. It was a drift, a slow leaking of families across generations, following animals, following rivers, following hunger. Nobody knew they were leaving Africa. A child was simply born a few valleys north of where their grandmother had been born. And then, after 10,000 such children, the sky above them was different. The sun sat lower, winters stretched longer, sunlight itself grew weaker, thinner, more seasonal, and that same skin that had saved their ancestors from ultraviolet damage was now, quietly, starving them of something else. Vitamin D, the chemistry your bones need, the signal your muscles use, the molecule your immune system leans on. So the balance tilted the other way. And here is a fact almost no one is told. The lighter skin of Europe and the lighter skin of East Asia did not come from the same genetic doorway. They evolved separately. Different mutations, different pathways, same destination. It's as if two travelers, on opposite sides of a mountain, dug tunnels in the dark and met in the middle without ever knowing. Evolution, it turns out, is not one road. It's 1,000 roads to the same fire. But even this is only half the story. For decades, scientists assumed the moment humans entered Northern Europe, they turned pale almost immediately. Ancient DNA quietly demolished that idea. Some of the hunter-gatherers who stalked deer through European forests 10,000 years ago carried dark skin and startlingly bright blue eyes, a combination almost no living population wears today. The face you picture when you imagine an ancient European is most likely a face that never existed. So what actually happened? Culture happened. Long before any gene had time to shift, our ancestors were already fighting the sky. They stitched hides with bone needles. They built shelters that trapped warmth and wisdom. They kept fire alive through nights so cold that breath froze on the wall. They dried fish. They rendered fat. They learned from someone older which foods carried the sunlight that their skin could no longer catch. Think about that. Somewhere in the Arctic, a grandmother is teaching a child to eat oily flesh in the dark months. And that lesson, passed hand to hand, mouth to mouth, winter after winter, is doing the work that pigmentation cannot. It's a piece of survival that lives between people, not inside them. This is what makes our species so strange. Most animals adapt with their bodies. We adapt with each other. And here's something that should stop you cold. Two Europeans with similar skin today may carry completely different evolutionary histories. Two Africans, side by side, can carry more genetic diversity than any two other continents combined. The lines we drew on maps and faces, biology never agreed to them. Which brings us to something uncomfortable about the modern world. Your body still expects the sky your great-great-great-grandmother lived under. It doesn't know you moved. It doesn't know about airplanes or glass windows or fluorescent lights. It doesn't know that the darkly pigmented office worker leaves before sunrise and returns after sunset, or that the lightly pigmented traveler is standing on a tropical beach for the first time in their life. Your skin is running an ancient program, calibrated for a climate that may be a continent away. That's why vitamin D deficiency is far more common in some populations than others. That's why dermatologists recommend different sun exposure for different skin types. That's why sunburn hits some people in minutes and barely touches others. Evolution isn't a story from the past. It is still shaping the way your body interacts with sunlight right now, today, in the room you are sitting in. You feel it in small ways. The strange fatigue of a long winter. The craving for warmth. The way a single day of sun can lift something inside you that no amount of indoor light can touch. That is not poetry. That is inheritance. And here is the part that quietly rearranges everything. We spent centuries treating skin color as if it were the deepest thing about us. A border, a ranking, a category. But when you look at what pigmentation actually is, a flexible, repeatedly rewritten response to ultraviolet light, the whole idea collapses. Two people can share almost every meaningful stretch of DNA and look nothing alike. Two people can look almost identical and descend from wildly different journeys. The trait we made into a wall was never a wall at all. It was a weather report. Every shade you have ever seen on a human being is the residue of a negotiation. Between sun and skin, between folate and vitamin D, between the place an ancestor stood and the place their children walked, between what the body could do alone and what only a community could teach. So when you look at your own hand again, really look, you are not seeing yourself. You are seeing a long, patient conversation between your body and a specific patch of sky. A conversation that began before language, before nations, before history itself. A conversation that, in a sense, is still going on. We tend to think of ourselves as finished, modern, complete, but we are not. We are drafts, written in melanin, edited by migration, translated by culture, and still, quietly, invisibly, being revised. Maybe that is the real weight of it, that the surface you were taught to read as identity is, in truth, a record of survival. Not of any one people, of all of them. One species, many skies, and a body that remembers every one of them. If this changed the way you think about human evolution, subscribe. Because the human body is full of hidden stories like this, and we are only getting started.